Hello, and welcome to another episode of Spirituality for Badass Babes. I'm your host, Ania Halama, and today I have two amazing guests with me today. I've actually never done a podcast with two guests, so this is quite exciting. I have Garry Johnson and Ross Arntson with me from the Infinity Matrix. Garry is a retired master hypnotist, NLP master practitioner, and a trainer in all things alchemy, life transformation, and beauty. Before retiring, he practiced for over 20 years, which is amazing, and has helped over 20,000 people in just client sessions throughout his entire career. Currently, he is a business growth and marketing consultant and co-creator with his partner Ross, who is also with us here today, of a weekly live stream program that streams to over 300,000 people. Holy crap, that is a lot of people per week. Like, not only like 300,000 people per week. Incredible. Called Hacking the Infinity Matrix. Today, we're going to be talking all about the Infinity Matrix. And Ross is a business owner, consultant, and former CEO of multi-million-dollar companies. He spends decades refining the materials he currently offers inside his programs as well. Ross and Garry have spent hundreds of hours with clients developing systems and processes to get to the root of many people's challenges in a fast and concise manner. Today, we're going to be talking all about the Infinity Matrix and the art of creating empowered reality. So welcome, Ross and Garry. Hello, hello,
Thank you.
hello.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Really
Of
appreciate it.
course.
Thank you so much.
I am excited to have you and talk all things badassness and Infinity Matrixness. But first off, as I always start off, what makes both of you a spiritual badass?
Why don't you go ahead, Ross?
You know, it's actually our attitude, our willingness to learn, our willingness to realize that we don't have all the answers and that there's a vast amount of information and knowledge that's in the universe that we can glean from. And it opens up our filters so that we don't turn any little idea off. This was something I did when I was, running companies, is that, it didn't matter who I was talking to, somebody always had a good idea. And sometimes that idea needs to be added to another idea, then added to another idea to actually create an amazing process. So just remaining open and willing to listen to others, ask lots of questions. That's probably our number one philosophy, is to always be asking questions.
Yeah, and I think it's the attitude of not accepting the status quo,
exactly.
Right, for ourselves or for our clientele. And then how do we dive into that potentiality of who we are as individuals?
I love all of that. Yeah, we really need to hone in on disassembling and remembering who we are at a core level. I love that. In my opinion, that makes you a spiritual badass. Hey. So you guys have quite an incredible story. You guys have been working together for quite many years. How did you come about working together, and how did you start the entire process, and how are you changing people's lives? Let's begin with that.
Garry, you want to go?
Yeah, well, Ross can talk about how we got together because he likes to tell that story. But let me talk about how. So what we're doing is we're facilitating, similar to you, we're facilitating the rise of the spiritual badass. Okay. Because if we look back on history has given us evidence to show that the early days of being a badass was all about physical violence matched with brute strength, right? But the essence of spiritual badassery, and that's the word Ross and I have coined as a legitimate scientific word, is the spiritual.
I might start using it, so.
The essence of spiritual badassery was always about knowing what you wanted and going for it congruently and confidently, right? And then aligning yourself with your divine purpose and piercing the veils of reality in order to set new standards and examples for human potential.
That's
Yes.
it. That's exactly it.
Yes. pierce through everything and start expanding your life, because we're all about the expansion into stepping into this new earth and new reality. So I love that. Ross, do you want to share how you guys got together? I'd love to hear that story.
Yeah, so Garry and I came together about 12 years now, and almost 13. And we came together on a totally different project. And we had just met, and we were, working, writing copy, putting stuff together. And what we were seeing is that, he would say something. I'm like, are you reading my notes? Because I had written down virtually the exact same thing, and vice versa. And so we're like, wow, we're really in sync here. So this is actually working really, really, really well. And then as we progressed and we started talking about, where we each has been and such like that, we're like, I was there, you were there, but so we realized that our paths, synchronicity was trying to work, and our paths had crossed so many times. And I'm like, this is just crazy. So then another conversation later on, we were talking about our wives. And he said something about his wife, that she had been to Jamaica. I'm like, oh, I said, my wife's been to Jamaica. He goes, oh, really? When did she go? And I'm like, I think she went this time, and this time. He goes, so did mine. And I'm like, honey, do you know somebody? And she's like, yeah, we've been friends for years. And I'm just like, I just looked at him like, you're just not going to believe this, man. This is just too much. It was just too crazy. And, and that at that particular moment, we're just like, we were bound, we were destined that we were going to come together. And then we really, really just started chiming.
So just so you know, the gap there is that because the event that he's talking about, I sent my wife to a women's retreat in Jamaica, and it was a 5 or 6 day event, right, Ross? It was like a good length of time. Yeah. And that was in 2002 or 2003, I believe.
Probably 3 or 4, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, right around there. Very close. Ross and I didn't connect up till 2009.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, it's always so beautiful to me, like when you get these little inklings of synchronicities, like always in divine timing. You guys met at the exact time that you were supposed to meet, like even though you had all these things thrown at you, like you met at the exact moment, and that's beautiful. Like I feel we all met at the same exact right moment. We connected over badassery, spiritual badassery, but all in divine timing, and we're working on several projects ourselves together, like all in beautiful divine aligned timing. So fantastic. So what are some of the things you work through with your clients now? How do you help them? And I know you guys have a very beautiful and unique approach to your badassery. So how do you go about helping and releasing all of these burdens and these barriers that you talked about for your clients?
Well, we what we do is we take people on an exploration in and throughout what we call the infinity matrix. Let me give a quick definition of what that is. Infinity refers to all that is, the realm beyond conscious or even unconscious capacity to bottle up and quantify, right? It's and you talk about it too, right? So it's the all space, all time, all energy, all matter in every direction. And then matrix is the environment in which something develops or takes form. So you put them together, the infinity matrix is where something comes into existence, something happens, something takes form, and something is experienced and not experienced moment by moment in order to piece together what we call reality, right? And so that's the infinity matrix. And what Ross and I are doing is bringing awareness to the many ways that we can actually hack that infinity matrix so that it serves us on a more conscious and intentional level unconsciously. And we can dive more into that piece there if you want a little bit. The infinity matrix is the environment where there's a constant flow of feedback from your internal matrix, what's going on in there, and the external matrix, and your position in the center where both converge into a place that we call now, right? It's called a lot of things: space of variations, palace of possibilities, quantum potential. I mean, it's the center point where you're not at the mercy of the polarities of internal, external, good, bad, up, down. Instead, you're firmly seated in the middle of choice, where you are the most powerful place you could exist. Right? Because
and I
that's
love
where
how you
reality
say
comes.
choice, because it's always our choice to how
Oh.
we feel, how we act, how we do things. Like when we're living in this infinity matrix or the quantum or whatever you decide to call it, like you always have that choice, the choice to feel, the choice to be, the choice to expand completely. It is that choice within yourself. So I love that you use that verbiage. And like that goes into like my whole beliefs on like, I should do this, I want to do this. No, I choose to do this. Always choosing. It's always your choice. And that's such a beautiful way of explaining like our words matter. It matters.
100%.
Like
Well,
cracking the infinity matrix matters.
that choice is the first place to start when it comes to empowering people, because so many people honestly believe that they don't have a choice. This is my life. This is what was served up to me. I don't have a choice. I can't change it. I was told I can't change it. Society tells me I can't change it. My mother told me I can't change it. My father told me I can't change it. This is all I know. I don't have a choice. And as soon as they make that switch and realize you have all of these choices.
And then being in the now, sorry, Ross, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. That's right. You're good.
And then being in the now by choice, right, is the infinity, as an infinity matrix that is unconditionally there to serve up whatever we order.
Yes, it is. And allow the beautiful blessings of the universe to come to you and flow through you.
Yeah, and it's unconditionally. So if you're putting, you know, the crap into it, that's gonna give the crap back to you. If it doesn't, it's not making the judgment call of, oh, this is what I should give this person. It's not doing any of that. That's you
Very
doing
neutral.
that.
Yes. And that's what makes you a spiritual badass, making that choice first. And I always say, like, it's called the law of attraction. You need to take that action second. Like, make that choice within yourself for whatever you choose, whatever you want to be, whatever you want to feel. Make those choices first. Make that switch and then take that action, because your life is infinite, absolute infinite. So let's dive deeper into the infinity matrix. What is these 5 steps that you're talking about? How that you're helping people? Like what is that process for people? And we don't have to like fully deep dive in, because we want people to obviously follow you and go to your Facebook, amazing Facebook group, by the way. So how do they start that? What is that process look like?
So with the 3 steps to the business badass, which is the challenge that we put out there on a regular basis, what we're doing is we're first of all getting people to understand that if you're going to hack the matrix, you first of all need to understand the structure of the matrix, right? And so you got to understand what it is that's creating your reality on a day-to-day basis, and you know what's getting in the way of you creating the reality you prefer, and figuring that stuff out. So understanding the structure of that matrix is really critical. And then when you understand the structure of the structural components of that reality, both internally and externally, I keep reminding you guys that. So it's not just what we see out there; it's what goes on in here, right? And the convergence of the two together. And when you get that structure, then you're in a position to then influence the language of the matrix, right? And that's where, you know, we don't call them affirmations, we call them declarations of reality. So it's you're putting out declarations of reality of, you know, claiming that this is how it is, or this is how it's going to be for me. It's not I'd like to, I'd wish, and it's this is my reality I'm claiming as a declaration, right? And then in understanding and mastering what we call the language of enlightenment, then you can start to master your ability to infuse, inject, and influence what's going on in the world around you, so that you have the experience that you want on a moment-to-moment basis. And when you have the structure and you have the language, then we got to make sure that's backed up by making sure we nurture and take care of the spirit in the matrix, which is you. So we call, when, you know, in our live streams, we talk about the, you know, the self, right? But we don't talk about it as most people, the acronym we use is spiritually evolving life force. That's who you are. Your self is a spiritually evolving life force. And so nurturing that and honoring that and making sure that you take care of that while working with the language, while understanding the structure, that gives you the ability to then transcend the matrix. And that's when you're living life of miracle. Things are just happening. They're just, you know, synchronicity is playing with you and dancing with you through your life experience.
You're flirting with the universe at that point. You're living in pure Kriya,
Absolutely.
which is beautiful.
Exactly.
And I love how you say you need to work on yourself, because we talk about shadow work a lot inside of here. And a lot of the misconceptions of the shadow work is like, oh, I need to do this now. I need to focus on all my shadow. I need to heal this now, but I can't move forward until I heal this. No, you can do it simultaneously. You can work on that self while still cracking the matrix. So I like that you make it so easy for people to understand, like, yes, I'm working on this, but I'm also working on myself simultaneously. And it is beautiful. And that's when like flow comes to you. You're living in the feminine, you're flirting with the universe, and all this beauty comes to you. You both are certified in many things, as am I, as a spiritual being. We all have this toolbox of things that we pull out, and different clients, we show different things to. What are some of the tools that you guys use? Obviously, hypnosis is one of your main ones, and I've been following your hypnos. You've talked on my own summits about hypnosis as well. What are some of the other ones, and how can we start? First off, let's dive back into, if someone hasn't seen the Master Your Mind Summit, we talk a lot about hypnosis over there. So what are those misconceptions of hypnosis? Because you do a really great job of defining that, Garry, versus what people think hypnosis is and what it actually is.
Yeah. So, you know, in all my years of doing hypnosis and studying, I've been doing and studying hypnosis for 40 years. So, you know, and for 20 of it, very intensely, 12-hour days, had opened up 7 different hypnosis centers at one time, and, you know, very, very actively working with clientele. And through that type of experience and exposure to people's experiences in the trance state and all that kind of stuff, I started to realize that there were some, even amongst the hypnosis community, some, in my opinion, incorrect definitions of what hypnosis is, right? Because there's all the fanciness of, you know, swing the watch, you close your eyes, you know, raise your hands, and all these other kinds of fancy things that happen when you're in a hypnotic state. But those are not hypnosis. Hypnosis at its corest, most cleanest definition is a process of communicating to your unconscious mind and getting a result because of that communication. That's it. Okay, so again, it's a process of communicating to your unconscious mind and getting a result based on that communication. And nowhere in that definition did I say you had to be relaxed. Nowhere in that definition did I say the lights had to be dim, the planets had to be aligned. None of that stuff.
Mercury's in retrograde again. I can't be hypnotized.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you have a false definition of what hypnosis is, then every time you go into hypnosis, it's based on a false definition of it having to be a certain way or having to have this type of experience. And so you lose out on the potential and the opportunity of it getting the result that you want. And so I thought, and Ross and I are very big and very big advocates of emphasizing that the definitions that you have are critical, right? The definitions you put on things will determine the experience you have based on that definition. So really being clear on that definition with hypnosis and a lot of other things that we do, it allows you to then say, okay, now if all that has to happen is the communication has to go to my unconscious mind and then I get a result from it, then all I got to do is figure out the strategy to make that happen now. And there's a ton of them. right? If I'm driving down the road and and I'm thinking about some life challenge or issue, and I drive down the road and I see a billboard sign that comes by that has the answer for what I'm thinking about, and that imprinted my unconscious mind to take some action or change my thought patterns, my belief, hypnosis happened in that instant.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it doesn't have to be the song and dance of the relaxation, the guided vision. Those are all nice bonuses because there's additional benefits you get from those things. So I'm not saying that those aren't good things. I'm just saying they're not essential for hypnosis to occur, which then means that hypnosis is happening all the time. All the time. It's just a matter of whether you're aware of it or not. Yeah. It's a matter of whether you're aware of it or not, because remember, 90% of what we do is unconscious. So something's got to trigger that.
So let's dive into like this unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious a little bit more. And again, we talked about all of this in Master Your Mind, but a lot of people, they don't understand what's the difference between them and how our unconscious actually defies all that we do in the conscious. So can you dive deeper into that?
Yeah, so I mean, the simplest way to think about it is your unconscious / subconscious. You can kind of use them both simultaneously. Your unconscious is everything that you're not consciously aware of right now. It takes care of all of that, right? But when you put attention on it, it becomes conscious. So that's really the difference. So the unconscious mind is its role is to take the plethora of information that we're bombarded with, right? Filter it out so that the conscious mind can put its attention on things that are important for survival and functioning and doing the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. But then all the other things the unconscious mind is taking care of. It's, when you go to sleep, it's beating your heart, it's pumping blood where it needs to go, it's healing, it's processing thoughts, it's doing all those kinds of things all the time. It never turns off. Right? And so because of that, it has access to an infinite number of options and possibilities that your conscious mind can't fathom or consider, because it has the capacity. An untrained conscious mind can maintain, research says that it can maintain anywhere between 7 to 9 bits of information at any one given time. Right?
Wow.
That's not very much, right? If you think of reality being, like the wall behind you, right? Then what we're talking about is taking a pen, putting a pin dot, and saying that's the amount that consciousness has the capacity to hold.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. That kind of reminds me of like how much we have eyesight wise. Like we only see like a pin of what is actually happening in the entire world, in the universe. Like it's wild to think about that, but that's living in the infinity, living in the matrix, like living out of the matrix. Actually, let's be real, cracking the infinity matrix.
Yeah.
So
it's a different matrix is all it is. It's just a different matrix.
Exactly.
Yes, it is. So thank you for that.
One of the other things that we really, me and Garry kind of hit upon it, is that, not only do we go after, how people are defining what's going on in their lives and how they define this belief or this event or such, we dig deeper to find out where that definition came from. Who gave you that definition?
Yeah.
Where did you find that definition? You'll be amazed at how many times when you ask somebody, can you define that for me? They really don't have a definition for it. Oh no, I just know the word. Like, well, that word that's the wrong word or not the correct word for this event. But it's these are definitions that are handed down to us. These are definitions that are inundated in our external matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And through marketing and social media and television,
it becomes
and radio,
a part of our internal matrix. Yeah,
exactly. And we absorb this, and so if our filters are not working the way that we want them to design to be working, we're just going to keep taking this stuff in and such, and allowing the external to define us.
And just to put a quick example. So for example, right, and this is something we teach in the Infinity Process, which is our signature program. If you are looking at, if you're on the street and you're looking at a let's say just a sign that's a billboard, right? And on that billboard is some color, there's some letters, maybe even a graphic of some kind, right? Well, that's in the external matrix, a message that's being fed to you, right? But who is it that put meaning into that? Right? Who taught you what red is supposed to or not supposed to mean? Who taught you what these selection of letters come together that is supposed to have this emotion, this feeling, these experiences? Who taught you when you looked at a number that number is supposed to mean this thing at this time for the, well, it was someone else. So that means your entire matrix has been designed by other people. Well, what we teach is to take that matrix, both internally and externally, and put your own programming in it so it feeds you what you want instead of what everybody else is getting fed.
Redefine the matrix.
I love it. And I just got chills as you were saying that as well. Like redefining who you are, remembering who you are. We talk about this so often over here at Spirituality for Badass Babes. Like really unprogramming all that everyone has taught you, society, billboards, mom, dad, friends, school, all of it, and looking internally, focusing on that self that Garry was talking about in the beginning and creating the reality that you want to create, which brings me to my next question. So I talk a lot about the law of attraction. I've created my own manifest process. You guys focus a lot on creating empowered realities. What is the difference? Is it the same? Like, what does that mean to you guys versus actual law of attraction?
Well, there's there's definitely a lot of crossovers in that, we're still ultimately all going for the same thing, where we're working towards growth, evolution, and really experiencing the full potential capacity of who we are, right? And, when we talk about badass, because, from the badassery side of things, as humans, we got it wrong some time ago. I think we got to look at this. When we talk about, where this all came from. We got it wrong some time ago. Somehow we got hoodwinked into believing that the path to spiritual evolution was only based on identity, right? Whether a person was labeled man or woman, child or adult, royalty or peasant, educated, unschooled, black or white, whatever the name that was labeled that person with, for whatever reason, we somehow thought potential growth and evolution was dictated by those labels, right? Which comes back to definitions, right? You think about it, in human history, it wasn't too long ago, sadly, it wasn't too long ago that a person was most likely to be born into being a badass based on their social status of their parents. That was how they got it, right? And in some places around, a lot of these archaic practices are still adhered to, right? And in those types of societies, the illusion of power was fed through acts of being merciless, and only a few select individuals were destined for freedom, right? Destined for influence and power that they wanted, while all the quote unquote common folk suffered and they were met with glass ceilings as they attempted to rise above their designated status.
So
yes,
I'd like to let me add, let's go back to Garry's example of the billboard and take that with the law of attraction, and then take that with the infinity process.
Yeah.
So the average person sees that billboard, and let's say that billboard in itself projects to them a feeling of doom and gloom. Okay. Take current events, war, poverty, anger, hatred, racism, that projects that feeling, that sense to them and such. Where when we redefine the external matrix, now that very same sign can project empowerment, growth, expansion, life, strength. It declares to us who we are, what we are, where we're going. And this is what the everyday person is up against. And it's only been till recently that you have a lot of the gurus and stuff like that just like, it took me years and years and years and years to do this. And we're saying it doesn't take that long. It doesn't. You can do this pretty quickly and such. But that has been pushed on to people, and then they just keep hitting that ceiling. I can't get past this because he's been doing it for 20 years and I've only been doing it for 20 months or 20 days or whatever the case. And it's that limitation. And when we were talking earlier about choices, that what people really should understand is that no matter what's going on in your life, you're always making choices. Are they empowering choices or disempowering choices? That's it. It's the only question. You're always making a choice.
Yeah.
Left, right. Are you making good ones or are you making bad ones? And it all starts from within, the choices that you make within, and the choices, like, it all goes back to like those self-limiting beliefs that we put on ourselves. Like, where did those beliefs come from? What choices are you making? Ooh, it's so juicy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you guys have any final tips, tricks on how to hack the infinity matrix or how to be a spiritual badass before we sign off and get more information from both of you?
One of the main things that we really push with everyone and is that every moment of the day, when things come up, you want to observe, interpret, and respond. And get away from what the external matrix is doing more than anything else, is trying for that flash emotional reaction. Such, just pause, observe what's going on, figure it out, look at it a little bit, take a little bit of time looking at it, and then respond accordingly. Such, and you will find that you're not so much going, oh. That's what we want to get away from.
And you'll center yourself a little bit better. I love that. Observe, interpret, respond. Always do. So you don't go off making rash decisions and be like, what the heck is going on in my life?
And there's still space in that for spontaneity. There's still space in that for tuning into your intuition. But it's not the reaction based. It's again more the response to whatever's going on. One of the most powerful messages that I got from a teacher many years ago was, circumstances don't matter. They're just circumstances. What matters is your state of being.
Exactly.
That's a good one.
Exactly.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. When on that note, where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they get more information on the Infinity Matrix?
Awesome. Go ahead, Ross.
The best introduction to the work that we do is to jump on to our next challenge that we've got coming on. And that's going to be at hackingtheinfinitymatrix.com/5 days, the number 5 days to badass.
Yeah, and it's 3 steps to level up your business badass, fueled by passion, purpose, and spirit.
Yes. Beautiful. And all of this information is going to be in the show notes, as well as Gary's and Ross's information, as well as their amazing Facebook group. Don't forget about that one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's at facebook.com/groups/the Infinity Matrix.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gary and Ross. I appreciate your time, and you guys are spiritual badasses.
Hey, we made it. We made it.
Do I get a certificate?
Yeah.